New Kenko Millicano Whole Bean Instant. Proud sponsors of the morning show.
Hello, welcome to the morning show with me, Martin King.
And with me, Sybil Mulcahy. Coming up on today's show, after years of ill health, including 2 liver transplants, Trevor O'Sullivan was only diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at 37 years of age. He's since compiled a bucket list of things he would love to do, including reenacting that famous scene from Rocky.
Well, everyone when they run the Rocky steps does the usual, puts their arms up and down or does some sort of thing like that. At the end credits of Rocky Balboa, they show all the people running up the steps, just normal everyday people. And I think I'd probably die happy, arms aloft on top of those steps, if I ever did achieve it.
Trevor will be telling us about his battle with CF shortly.
Also, how Hitler sent a film crew to Ireland in the 1930s to film our Olympic hammer throwers and learn the secrets of their success. We'll be finding out about the hunt for this rare film footage.
We don our white coats and go behind the scenes as students of Avondale Community College in Wicklow prepare to compete in the BT Young Scientist and Technology exhibition.
This is an instant method of removing the ice, and also it is much more effective because as soon as it's finished, you can use your car. You don't have to go back in and do other things.
And with a 60% increase since 2009 in the number of applicants for Australian visas, if you're thinking of making a permanent move down under, you'll need to act fast because tougher new rules come into effect this summer. We'll be finding out more later. But first today, having endured health problems from the age of 12, Trevor O'Sullivan had not 1 but 2 liver transplants in his early 20s.
But it wasn't until he was 37 years of age that Trevor received a diagnosis of cystic fibrosis. Now, with time ticking, he's compiled a bucket list of all the things he would most love to achieve.
I thought to myself, I'm 37, I said to him, how can I have CF at this age? And he told me I had. It was missed along the line by different hospitals and all that, and that was it. It was a major, major shock at that age. It was a relief in a way, but once the relief of getting a name for the diagnosis subsided, I had an awful lot to take in, an awful lot to learn. I didn't know what a bucket list was. It was just goals to achieve in life, because I knew that I had been given a second chance, and I wanted to make as much as I could out of that second chance, not only for me, but in memory of the person who donated the organs, because I've had 2 liver transplants, so in a sense, 2 people have kept me alive to the stage I'm at now. You know, so it was only, I think, when the film came out with Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman, everyone knew what a bucket list was, but I didn't know. I just knew it as a series of things to tick off that you wanted to do. My first record I bought was Eye of the Tiger, and I went to see Rocky 3 when I was about 9 years old. The film resonated greatly at that time. I just enjoyed it, but once I became ill, it resonated massively. Rocky is sort of the underdog, it's the battle of fighting the good fight, getting up at the proverbial canvas, in my sense. It resonated with me with that.
And we're delighted to welcome Trevor O'Sullivan to the morning show.
Thanks
couch.
very much.
Many thanks for coming on, Trevor.
You're welcome.
We'll get on to your love of Sylvester Stallone and Rocky in a couple of minutes. But firstly, as you mentioned there on tape, you've been through the mill. You've had 2 liver transplants. Ill health started from the age of 12. But what astounded me, absolutely astounded me when I first heard your story, was how the doctors missed a diagnosis of cystic fibrosis and only gave it you at the age of 37.
37, yeah.
And you said there on tape very flippantly, oh, the doctors missed it. How on earth did that happen?
Yeah, well, my whole journey started at age 12. I vomited a lot of blood, and I was rushed to hospital. It's still as vivid as it was then, even today, and that was 26 years ago now. And then when I went to, they thought maybe it might be some sort of rupture, but it didn't turn out to be that, because my mum and dad left me for the night, and all of a sudden I vomited a load of blood again. And I still to this day remember a lady coming up to me, putting a scapular on me. Obviously she thought, this kid's not going to make it, you know.
Yeah.
And so they rushed me up to Crumlin Children's Hospital. And I went through 2 months of every kind of test under the sun, and eventually a liver biopsy confirmed that I had cirrhosis of the liver.
Right.
But there was no reason for the cirrhosis of the liver. There was no, like, normally, you know, there's a reason. So it was called, they called it cryptogenic cirrhosis. So, yeah, they were the first to miss the obvious signs.
And had you had any respiratory problems?
I had respiratory problems from age, which was diagnosed as asthma.
Yes.
You know, so I always had respiratory problems from the age of 8 onwards. So you would have thought they might have put them 2 and 2 together. So they didn't.
Did it affect your schooling?
First of all, the big thing it affected was I wasn't allowed to play competitive sports, which absolutely is... I don't look back with regret a lot, to be quite honest, but that's a big regret. I was playing football with... so I was quite talented footballer. I was promising. I don't know where I'd have got to, but because I had an enlarged spleen, a bad bang would have stopped me playing football. So I went to school. I did fine, but because of the lung problems, I actually almost didn't even sit my intercert. But my mum said, you know, you can't go through it. But I said, please, I have to. So I got a really strong codeine prescription to stop me coughing, because I wouldn't even allowed to sit it anyway. I couldn't have been putting off everybody else. So got me through my insert. And then around 16, 17, a plethora of symptoms set in. Liver disease is really, really horrific. This liver does an awful lot of functions in the body. And first of all, the big thing I noticed was fatigue. I would come home and I would try to study, and I would fall asleep in front of the chair with the book open. And then people started to notice, you know, oh, your eyes are a bit yellow. It was jaundice, obviously, starting to set in. And I lost a lot of weight. And I remember the first transplant patient I knew at that stage was Brian Lenihan, who eventually ran for president. And I remember saying to my mum, I said, oh, God, I hope I don't look, you know, so ill and gaunt like he does. But, of course, eventually I did. And everyone was saying to my mum and dad, you know, Trevor looks awful. He really looks so sick. And I have a picture at home of me beside someone, and I look like death warmed up. I look like I'm about to, you know, at any stage. And
but you got a liver transplant. It didn't work.
I was assessed in '94 for a liver transplant, and that was a big shock to be told that you need a liver. You need a liver. So I had to be counselled through it because I was a worrier all the time in hospital. That was my big worry. I got it. It failed after 3 months. It didn't reject, but basically the main blood supplies to the liver failed, and which was all of it. So I was basically hours from death when I got the second liver transplant. And Oscar Traynor, the surgeon, did that. It was 17 hours. And when I woke up off the respirator, I was told I also had gone down to surgery another 2 times during the night for massive internal bleeding. So
you went through the mill, but thankfully the second operation worked for you.
It worked for me, yeah.
And that was when you said, look, I'm going to write down a list of goals that I want to achieve.
Exactly.
So the first of those, when it was something you got to witness rather than achieve yourself. And that was, you got to see your beloved, you got to watch Kerry win an All-Ireland.
I did, yeah. That was funny. It was the day before I started the university degree in DCU in journalism. Now, I'd always been a Kerry fan, but when you're younger, like, you wouldn't appreciate the All-Ireland as much, because it'd be every year they Kerry would win. So I got to see that. The next day I started university, which was my #1 goal at the time, because my illness had been decimated. My illness had decimated my health. And that was one of the best days of my life, starting the degree, and they are still the best days of my life, that whole time in DCU, you know.
And looking back now, how were your lungs, and did you keep getting infections? I mean,
you see,
had cystic fibrosis been mentioned at all during this period?
Funny, it was mentioned the night of my first liver transplant, because my first liver transplant nearly didn't go ahead because I had chest problems. And the hepatologist brought up a respiratory specialist. And out of the blue, someone said, has anyone ever said you might have CF? And then it was never again mentioned till October 2010.
And there wasn't a thought at that time to check you for CF?
Seemingly not, because it shocked me to the core. I was waiting for a liver transplant, and all of a sudden this was
brought into the equation. Yeah.
When this diagnosis of CF was made, you weren't in one of the most in a regular hospital for adults.
No, I actually went back to Our Lady's Hospital, Crumlin, where they'd done a sweat test that was performed, and because that's basically everyone.
You've gone full circle.
Yeah, exactly. I'd gone full circle, and because even when I went in, the guy said, "Oh, this is a children's hospital." You know, I was asking him where this was. You know, I think he thought I was out for the day from somewhere else. But yeah, so Yeah, I'd gone full circle, and then they'd done the genetic test just to confirm 100%, and at first it was a relief that I had a name on it, because over in London, when I was working for the Irish Post for 2 years, the last 6 months I knew something was wrong. I lived for like 6 months on a can of Coke every day while working, and I lost a ton of weight, and I was breathless. I noticed stairs were an absolute killer, and I knew something wasn't quite right, and that put a name on it. But then, of course, then you've got to come to terms with it and find out as much as you can about it. So,
what did the doctor say when you gave you the diagnosis, and what did how did he comment on the fact that he was giving it to a 37-year-old man instead of a child of 12?
He said when he looked at my medical history that he knew straight away I had CF. Now, you see, before, 5 years previous, after my transplant, I'd be diagnosed with another chronic lung disease, which is a disease CF people would get, you know, so...
Yeah. You feel, since this diagnosis, and like you said, it took you a little while to deal with the fact that you had CF.
It did, yeah. It took, I suppose, in all sense, about maybe 8 or 9 months. I think the biggest help were the Facebook community of CF patients in Ireland and the CF Association of Ireland as well. I think talking to them on Facebook and asking them questions and all this, they taught me an awful lot of what I know, you know.
Well, it was after that you decided, I've got other life goals that I want to achieve. I'm reluctant to call it a bucket list, because I think it's morbid.
I get very upset about a diagnosis, but then there's a part of me, and I suppose there's a part of everybody, the human instinct to survive. And you just... You know, you see people and you think, oh, how amazing they are, how did they... But you just got to, when you're put in that situation, you either roll over and accept it, or come back fighting, and that's what I've decided to do. You know, by hoping this year that maybe I can get more chances to write. That's my first love, that's my talent. Everybody has a talent, that's mine. And so, in the last year I was existing, I wasn't living, you know what I mean?
Well, writing is still a goal of yours. You've already achieved some other goals that you set out for yourself, and that was to visit Gracelands.
It was, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
But this one, to visit Philadelphia and to reenact this iconic scene from the Rocky movies, that's still a dream that you've yet to achieve.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Because Rocky has kept you going, the movies kept you going.
It has, I'd be watching the movies in hospital, or I'd have the soundtrack on when I'd be going down for a major operation trying to psych myself up or whatever. So it's a rite of passage for a lot of people, but for me, you know, it would mean the world, you know.
There's a speech in Rocky that was given to him about taking all the hits and fighting and being a winner, which you know off by heart.
I know off by heart. I bore people on Facebook by putting it on.
Tell us that speech, because you feel it pertains to your life.
Yeah. Basically, it goes like this. It said, the world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and it will beat you to your knees permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits.
And that was from Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
From the last movie.
Yeah.
I remember that, actually. Yeah. It's finance and health that's stopping you at the moment from achieving that goal, but it is something you aim to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd also like to offer anybody, if anyone is listening out there in the media, I know that because of the situation now, they're not able to give a lot of freelancers work, so I'm willing to write for free with the small fee going to CF and organ donation. So that's another thing, because like, it's never been about money for me. It's just about, I'd like to just write, because it's who I am. And if you could give me the choice now between, say, Trevor, you'll get 10 years where you won't do a lot. There's a quote in the Steel Magnolias, I'd rather have 30 seconds of something wonderful than a lifetime of nothing special. So if I could achieve a certain amount of things in a year, it would be a lot better than 5 or 6 years where nothing really happens.
And do you feel time ticking?
Metaphorically, I feel there's a clock ticking above my head all the time. You know, and, I mean, people say to me, you know, Trevor, you'll be fine, you keep beating... But there's only so many times you can beat the odds. You know, one time... it will catch up on me. So when it does catch up on me, I want to have thought to myself, well, I fought the good fight and I did as many things as I could and I didn't waste my chance.
Well, Trevor, I hope you get up those steps in Philadelphia this year.
Thank you very much.
And as you said, you'd die happy once you were up top there.
And I just hope everyone will consider carrying an organ donor card, because without it, I wouldn't be here today.
OK, well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, how Hitler sent a film crew to Ireland to discover the secret to Irish athletes' success. You can find out more after this break.
Lines will close at 5:30 today. Further details on RTE Airtel page 192, and the lucky winner will be announced at the end of the show.
Now, from the age of 12, our next guest has been battling for his life. He's faced obstacles few of us can imagine and has narrowly escaped death a number of times.
Despite all of this, Trevor Sullivan is determined to live life to the full and make every second count.
Trevor, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Now, we spoke about all of the problems that you faced. Take us through your story. It started when you were about 12?
12, yeah. When I was 12, everything seemed to be going right. I was playing competitive football. I was like every other 12-year-old. Until suddenly one night I felt very sick and I vomited blood. And I was rushed to Mayo Hospital, where the same thing happened again. And so they really didn't know what to do, so they sent me up to Crumlin, Our Lady's Hospital, Crumlin. And after 2 months there, they found out that I had cirrhosis of the liver, unexplained, for no reason. So
obviously a huge problem at that stage of your life when you're 12.
Yeah.
And to happen so suddenly as well.
Yeah.
So you got to the point then when you were in your early 20s.
Sure, yeah.
When you finally got the transplant that you so needed.
I did. I had first transplant went well in May '95, and I thought, oh, it was a great new lease of life. Like, I radiated health and everything, and I thought, this is magic. But of course, it started to fail again, and I had another one in October of the same year, and that was quite complicated.
Second transplant in the same year.
And this one was like a transplant for the ages, so to speak. It was 17 hours in surgery, and then when I woke up, I also realised that I'd bled internally twice more. So in all, after the transplant, I had 5 more operations on top of that to stem internal bleeding. I didn't think I'd make it, but I had other ideas. Yeah.
Is it true to say that you were on death's door at that stage?
Oh, I was on death's door from 12, really, because, I mean, I vomited blood, and that can happen any time, and that actually can kill you, that process itself. So, yeah, I was especially near death when I had my second transplant. I was hours from death, and I got the liver at the right time.
And the second transplant worked for you, though, eventually?
It's worked for me eventually, yeah, and so, yeah, it did.
And then, another blow a number of years later.
Which was that?
When you got your next
Oh, sure, diagnosis. Yeah. I mean, I was I had respiratory problems all along, which was put down to asthma at the age of 8, and I was in London. I was working for the Irish Post, and I had done a degree in journalism, DCU, before that, and everything seemed to be going all right. But I was just getting sicker and sicker, and I was in and out of hospital for every 6 weeks, and then they sent me to the cystic fibrosis unit in Dublin. And I was aghast to discover that at 36, almost 37, I got cystic fibrosis.
Yeah, because when you hear of cystic fibrosis, you often think of a child.
Yeah, a child, yeah.
A younger person.
Yeah, I mean, all the Facebook friends I know that CF patients in Ireland, a lot of them are like in their teens and 20s, and a few of them in their 30s or whatever, you know. So.
And how did you escape diagnosis for so long? Have you found out yet why?
I haven't found out exactly, but I know there's been mistakes made along the way. Like the night of my first liver transplant, that almost didn't go through because I had respiratory problems, so they brought up a specialist, and he said, did anyone ever say that you might have CF? And that was a shock to the core to be going for a transplant to get that news, but nothing was ever done about that again, and just they diagnosed me with another chronic lung disease, and anyway.
Because for somebody with CF, even if the person who is sitting next to you has a cold or a flu, you have to stay away from them, not to mind to go for a transplant.
I can't even meet any CF patients. It's cross-contamination, so, Plus, I would have been in 6-bed wards all my life, whereas you're supposed to be isolated.
Of course, yeah.
So I would have got some bad chest infections as well up to my transplant, which might have ruled it out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And how is your health now?
Well, when I went to find out what when I was diagnosed with CF, my lung function is like 40 to 50%. It ranges from that, and it's not good because it's this killer walking upstairs and, you know, just doing the things everyone else takes for normal, you know. So that's tough.
The average life expectancy for somebody with CF in Ireland is 37.
Yeah,
you're now 38.
I'm 38. Yeah. I've beaten the odds in more ways than one with the livers as well. I mean, before when I had my transplant, I had these goals to accomplish straight away, and now that I've got CF, it's kind of made me want to, go for it again and do as much as I can.
Tell us about the goals, because you mentioned your journalism degree.
Yeah, and
so you ticked that one, certainly.
I wanted to go to Graceland, which I ticked.
This is all part of your bucket list.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just explain to us what a bucket list is.
The bucket list is things you want to do before you die, and it was made famous by the Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman film.
Movie, yeah.
But when I was setting out on after my transplant, it was just a series of life goals. You know, I didn't know what a bucket list was. Now everyone knows. So now, after being diagnosed with CF, I'd like to write a book. Obviously, I'd like to. I've offered in my journal piece to write for free. You see, obviously, with the freelancers, it's hard to get work. Yeah. I've offered to write for free, with a small portion going to CF or organ donation awareness. Now, I haven't got the offer taken up yet, but I'm still hoping. And my last ambition then is to run the Rocky Steps in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Why do you want to, out of all the things that you could do in this world, why?
I've been a big fan of Rocky since about the age of 9, and now it took on more, it resonated more when I got sick. I don't know, running the Rocky Steps is like, it's a metaphor for the underdog.
Yeah. David versus Goliath, maybe.
Yeah, and it's the every man rising to his own particular challenge in life and all that.
It's on lots of people's lists, though, because we found on YouTube videos of people who have recorded themselves doing it.
I mean, I spoke to one guy and he said he sat there for an hour. People were going up in their wedding dresses and up and down, up and down all day long.
Yeah, I did it once as well. I think we might see that in a while. And the day I was there, 4 people did it in the nude.
Yeah.
They ran up, and there I am. I think that's back 2 years ago when I was a small bit fit. It's good fun, and loads of people do it all day long. But the guys who did it in the nude, Trevor, they were asked to leave the
I'm sure they were.
I can assure you I won't be doing it in the nude.
That could be another one for your list as well.
Can we ask you about the organ donation campaign that you're involved in? This is hugely important.
Oh, it's hugely important. I remember, like, when I started my degree, I met out these little business cards. And there was only 36 maybe people in the DC journalism degree. So I gave a card to each of them. Just said, we met because someone gave me the gift of life. Just a simple little thing that, you know, they might think of me and in the future maybe donate. Because they always say to people, if you were sick and a doctor said, well, you know, you're really sick, you're dying, but we can save you with an organ, you would accept. Most people would accept. So if you would accept, why not sign the organ donation thing? Because I'm here because of 2 people, really, because I had 2 transplants, so yeah. Yeah,
well, they're no good to you when you go to the other side, I'm afraid, you know.
Yeah.
You met Sylvester Stallone as well, by the way.
I did, a sneaky one. I basically blagged my way into the press conference for Rocky Balboa in the Dorchester Hotel in London when I was working over there,
By God.
Yeah.
A nice guy.
Well. Gave him a handshake,
Good stuff. You didn't knock him down like, I think it was Apollo Creed, didn't that?
No.
So when you talk about this bucket list and things you want to do before you die, are most people comfortable with you talking about it, or are some people, particularly those close to you, are they comfortable?
That's a good question. I think, you see, because I've gone through so much, even my friends and all, the people say, sure, Trevor, you know, you'll never die. Like, you're Superman. You've come through all these things. But I say to them, like, it's got to come to an end sometime. You know, like, I mean, I could have another lung transplant, that could work fine. I might have to another liver transplant, but, you know, there's no say that I'll live that long to get that call. Or sometimes, you know, you could be assessed for a transplant, and if one part of your body's not working right, they might put you through the surgery.
And with the complication of the CF, of course, as well.
Exactly, so.
But look, you're doing well now, and you're achieving the aims, and best of luck with getting the book
Thank you very much.
together.
Basically, at the end of the day, when my time comes, I want to have achieved as much as I can. I think life, it's not about quantity of life, it's more about quality.
Absolutely. We'll put the details on our website. How people can get involved in organ donation, get the cards, and also cystic fibrosis, and how we can support you through there.
That's great.
Lovely to meet you, Trevor.
Thank you very much.